Thomas. It's up for grabs now.
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira.
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it.
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Good evening, everybody. Very, very warm welcome to the Arsenal Lounge. It's been a while since we've done one of these shows. So it's nice to do one of these again just before, the season start. Talk about the World Cup a little bit, talk about the Arsenal a little bit, and just catch up with things and see how everybody is. Lev, how are you? You good?
I'm good. I'm glad
What's
to be
been
back.
happening, man?
Just been, working a little bit, getting ready for the Arsenal to come back as well. Watching a lot of World Cup. It was a slow burner World Cup, but I started to get more and more interested in it as it went on. And I think the Qataris have done a really good job with this World Cup so far. But look, I'm sure we'll go on to it. But yeah, I'm good and I've been enjoying watching some football, but I can't wait for the Arsenal to come back.
Very good. Tom?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. I've missed you guys. It's been I've had no one arguing with me for weeks. It's been nice.
Drama about Odegaard.
That will soon change.
Indeed. Yeah, Norway didn't qualify, did they? So you've not had the chance to bash his performances in any way.
So he's been watching his training. He's been texting me, telling me how awful he's been in training.
Yeah. Anyway, it's been good to be back.
Yeah, good to have you back, man. Mo, how are you, man? What's been happening with you?
I'm good. Missing the Arsenal, but you listen, World Cup is just brilliant. It's an absolute feast. And it's got better as the tournament's gone on. So like Lev, actually, I thought it was a bit of a slow burner at first. Even with some decent upsets, I thought there was a few games that were quite dull. But man, the drama in recent games has just been off the scale. And, I've still got 2 teams out of 4 where I've got like a real emotionally vested interest in them winning, so I'm happy.
Has anyone else been struggling to work because the games are on all day, like throughout the day?
I mean, I have to
just me then.
Yeah. Listen, who said what? Who predicted the winners to be? I know Tom went for Argentina. I think.
I said Argentina.
Yeah, I think Lev went for Brazil.
I went for France.
Did you go for France?
Yeah, I went France.
Mo, what did you go? You went for Brazil, didn't you?
Yeah, for me it was Argentina, France, Brazil, and I think I said Brazil.
Yeah,
I feel like it'll be France as well now, but I thought it would be Argentina at the start. Yeah.
Are we all sticking?
No, I think it'll be France. I'll change from Argentina to France. I'd rather it was Argentina, but I think it'll be France.
Yeah, I wouldn't as well. I don't know. There's something about this Argentinian team, Tom. I don't like. There's a lot of, what do you call it in football terms? Shithousery, if you like.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I kind of liked it when they mugged off the Netherlands. Yeah. Van Gaal was giving it so much before the game, like in what he said. I'm not surprised that they what I would say is that I wouldn't say I'm an advocate of booting the ball at the opposition subs bench. Like that might be a bit too far, but I'll be lying if I said it's a bit of a chuckle.
Yeah. Martinez guy has got a big mouth, man. I mean, Martinez.
But again, I kind of like that. It wasn't against Arsenal, so I can just appreciate it for what it is.
Did no one find that referee extremely biased for Argentina?
Yeah, he was.
He was ridiculous. Yeah. And incidentally, he's been sent home, isn't he?
Yeah. But look, they say
there's not many games left, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. There's only 4 games left. So there's all this talk about sent home. But no, it's more that others have been picked for the semis and the...
I've seen it about commentators as well. Like, I think Clive Tilsley's not doing any more games. Like, he's been sent home. It's like he probably wasn't on to do anymore.
Exactly,
it's
but
mad.
that ref was very pro-Argentina. Messi's handball. How did he get yellow for that handball? It's crazy.
He didn't even... And the one at the England game was awful as well.
Yeah, but talking about the World Cup, how do you guys feel the World Cup has been overall? Because there was a lot of criticism about the World Cup and about Qatar, and I think it went a bit too far. Personally, I think people need to understand that you go into a different part of the world. It's not Europe anymore. They don't live the European way. They have different culture, religion, background. And if you want to, for me, if the whole the migrant workers issue was really bad, you know, it was an issue that needed to be addressed. And, you know, let's be honest, this World Cup should never have been awarded to Qatar in the first place. It was awarded to them. And I just think people started to criticize them and how things are over there and their way of life without really studying. And if you want to get somebody to understand what you're saying in terms of, you know, the LGBT rights and Q rights and how it is, then go to Qatar and first respect them and their rules. Once you respect them and you've got their attention, then sit down and speak to them and tell them, look, this is what we think, this is how it should be. Like, if you go over there from the minute one, criticize the living life out of everything they do, they're going to get their back up straight away. And I just think a lot of people were, they didn't put themselves in good light when it comes to this. And I don't want to mention names, but there are people who are there, they're collecting a paycheck, they're enjoying the experience, but they're criticizing the organizers. And it's like you go to a party, but you're criticizing the organizers and the rules of the party. If you don't like it, don't go. If you want to make it stand about gay and rights and LGBTQ rights and say, you know, this is my view, these guys are wrong, this shouldn't be, don't go there in the first place. Don't go there, collect the money, and then criticize. So I'm not saying what it is what happens over there is great, it's right, and nobody should say anything. But I don't think that was particularly the way to go on about it and get these guys to understand where you're coming from and what you're trying to promote to them. And I said, I'm just really trying not to mention any names or anything like that. But Tom, how do you feel about everything that I just said and the way that the World Cup has gone, the organization? I know we talked about the football side of it has lately been great, but there's other side of it as well. Everybody discuss it on ITV and BBC, so I think it's right that we should discuss it as well.
I disagree with some of the stuff you said. I agree regarding kind of the respect aspect. I think there's a level of respect, of course. But there's also part of me that knows people that felt it was not safe for them to go to a World Cup because of an identity that they have that they can't control because it's who they are. You know, being gay is not a choice. You know, you don't choose to be gay. And so if you feel as though your safety is impaired because of who you are, of something that you can't control, be it your sexuality, be it your skin color, I'm not saying that's the case here. I'm just saying it's the same thing. Yeah. You know, you can't control your skin color, you can't control your sexuality. And I think that is a problem. But you know, you said it yourself, Shaheen, it shouldn't have been awarded to Qatar in the first place. Like there wasn't enough made of it at the time. Not enough was done to stop that from happening in the first place, in my opinion. And I think there's been a lot of hypocrisy, for sure. I think it's near impossible to have a discussion about it without having some aspect of hypocrisy when you speak about it. But yeah, I'm uncomfortable with it. I had a lot of respect for Alex Scott, who wore the armband during the first game with the BBC coverage. I respected her for that and I was disappointed that the game and the players and the teams didn't wear the rainbow armband. Personally, I was disappointed that they didn't, because I understand the argument of why should it be on the players to do that, but there's also a sense of me saying that if we're putting a yellow cards or a red cards above, you know, showing what we believe to be right, which is that LGBTQ plus people should have exactly the same freedoms as everybody else everywhere in the world, I feel as though there is a problem with that. So that's kind of my view. Feel free to question me on any of that.
I just think, you know, with the armband, right? The way I saw it was that, you know, this is their house, their rule kind of thing, right? And this is a different cultures way of accepting.
But there's people in that culture, Shaheen, that
there are.
that can't be themselves.
I don't think if you listen, I don't think. No, I'm not obviously gay. I don't know what happens if you go to Qatar and start acting up and that. I don't know. Probably, I don't know. I don't want to comment on it because I don't know. Right?
Yeah, sure.
But what I'm saying is, if you're going over there and saying, right, you guys are saying this is not right, but what we're going to do is we're going to wear the armband and stick it on your face in your country, in your competition. This is how we're going to. I just think there could have been a different way. Don't ask me what way, because I don't know. I didn't protest. So it's something I have to think about to say what way. But I don't think that particularly was not the way for you guys to try to get these guys on board to listen to what this LGBTQ movement is, what it's about, what their rights are.
What would you suggest is the right way?
As I said, don't ask me because I don't know. I didn't. It's
yeah, that's the thing.
It's probably above my pay grade. But you know, and if you guys think it's just Qatar, no, it's not.
Of course, it's
the
not.
whole region. I mean, my country, Iran, is bad. Saudi Arabia. If you think Qatar is bad, boy, Saudis are different level. Oman, you know, it's a region.
There are a lot of places around the world where being LGBTQ plus is illegal. I understand that. I completely understand it. I get where you're coming from. It's just, for me, a World Cup, you know, is about the world, you know, and it being a country hosting the World Cup, it's not, for me, it's not about the country in itself. If you're hosting a World Cup, you are welcoming in the world. And so if you welcome in the world, I think you have to welcome, you know, the fact that LGBTQ plus is a right of humanity.
But, you know, any country that will host the World Cup, somebody will find something to say about them and say, oh, but these guys, they did this, that, the other. I want to move on to Moh and Lev. What you guys chip in. Feel free to.
A nice, easy one to start with, Shaheen.
Listen, we're just talking about it, you know.
I'll throw my little bit in because I know that Moh will probably far more.
We're gonna leave the next 20 minutes for Moh to take over. And talk about
no, but look, at the end of the day, I agree with what Tom's saying in a sense that you're welcoming the world, you're inviting the world. It's the LGBTQ has a right, but then surely in the same side of things, people also have a right to be Muslim if they want to be Muslim, and if that's the way they've chosen to live their lives and that's their belief and that's their country, they're just as equally have that right to follow that. So it's a very difficult subject matter. Now, the way I look at it is, why weaponize something politically that is a sport? That's what's been happening with our sport for a very long time. It's been weaponized and used to put a narrative across, putting players in awkward positions, putting others in awkward positions. To be honest with you, the way I feel about it is somebody's sexuality should not define them. That's their business. That's their personal life. Sport is sport. And I think it's tough for the players to be put in this situation because in this country, it's pushed on them with the rainbow badges and the laces and all of that, and that's fine. And we here in the West, in European countries, are a lot more liberal with that side of things. But at the same time, you do have to respect other nations and their beliefs too. Now, I guess what I would say is, if it's such a big deal, then you've got to look higher up the ladder and ask, if it is such a big deal, why was it awarded in the first place, right? Because at the end of the day, we knew this would be a problem. We all knew it would be a problem in that instance. On top of that, if you want to stop giving the World Cup to countries because of political matters, then you could start digging around a hell of a lot of other countries, including the US, who have had it and are going to have it again, and various other countries for various atrocities around the world. Where does it stop? I think the answer to the whole thing is to leave politics out of sport entirely, because it's just not fair. People go to watch sporting events to release a little bit of energy and some tension, some stress, and go out and have a good time, not for it to be politicized. So it is a tough one, but I am very much in the camp that if I go to someone's house or their backyard or wherever it is, then I'm going to respect their rules. If they tell me to take their shoes off, I'm not going to say, hey, I don't take my shoes off at my house. I'm going to respect that, and so on. So it is a tough one, but in my opinion, who are we to tell countries to change their rules and their laws to accommodate us?
Yeah. No,
That's how I think about it.
it's interesting you say this, Levin, and it's an interesting point that you raised. That, and as I said earlier, any country that will host the World Cup going forward, this is what I'm going to predict. Yeah, there will be something. There are like next one is in America. There's a lot of people who say, "Oh, America, they invaded this is that country's whatever." There are places in America that homosexuality is banned, and you will get into really deep waters if you're gay. So I think the best thing is you said is just separate them. It's always been like that. You separated it. I remember in was it 98, France 98, that Iran and America, they played a football game together. And I think that was something to show that people can come together using sport. People can be friends with each other via sport. You know, it's a football game. And I think I think before the game, the players, for the team photos, they all came together. And they had one big photo where the players were all mixed and they were all standing next to each other. And I think that's how sports should be used. So without wasting any more time, over to you, Mr. Haider. Take it over.
No, don't be silly. I don't like this big build-up, about my opinion. It's no more relevant than anyone else's. But, I think that I'm someone that, if I really, really feel strongly about something on like a very principled stance, I will just not do it. So there's certain organizations that I will refuse to be a customer of because of their other interests, for example, and I will boycott or divest those organizations. I think the one thing that I've been really disappointed about in this World Cup and in all of these quite passionate issues is that there's a real lack of any real principled beliefs here that have got, real substance and follow-up action to them. It's all just honestly been nauseating in terms of how easily people are to be swayed from their apparent stance. And I'll give you a couple of examples, right? With the with the rainbow armband thing, for example. Now, there's a massive difference between something that you think, oh, it varies culture to culture, versus something that you think is an absolute human right. Yeah. So if a religion says, or a culture, I don't care whether it's religion or culture, says, oh, we want to do this, and you don't actually truly believe it's a human right, then I can understand you not being very concrete in your opinion. But let's take a look at South Africa when they were guilty of an apartheid system in their country. Everyone boycotted them. They were absolutely removed from the sporting scene and many other scenes globally, and people would not set foot in South Africa. It was simply a case of, this is abhorrent what you're doing. Black and white are equal, and to segregate like that and to have second-class citizens is so wrong. It goes against human rights, and therefore we're not going to bother. Now, we make that claim in this country and in Western countries about sexuality, but where was the follow-up action? Where was that same depth of feeling and energy to say that, no, you criminalize homosexuality, for example, so we are not even going to set foot. We're going to fight. We're going to oppose this. We're going to wear the armband, whatever it might be. They just wavered very, very quickly, very, very easily. Had they not, it would have put on a huge amount of pressure on FIFA, and they took the easy option to not do it. And I can understand it. As a professional footballer, you think to yourself, you're guaranteeing yourself being banned from World Cups, etc. But is it a human right or not? And if it's a human right, let's be clear about this. If they were going to a country where they were basically saying, no, black players aren't allowed, no one would have gone. Everyone would have stood up to it. So it's not viewed in the same way as previous struggles that we've seen, but we're not willing to admit that. We're not willing to accept that in this country, that actually it's important, but not that important. But that's the reality. That's the actions. I think some of the laughable things that I've seen, the Alex Scott thing, you're wearing the armband. Why did you go? I honestly myself did not go to Qatar because I feel very, very strongly that migrants died working to build those stadiums. That's the only reason I didn't go to Qatar. And also, the system that these migrants operate in is called a kafala system. That has now changed. Thankfully, it's the one good thing to come out of this World Cup that's meaningful, that's not just about kicking a ball around. And that kafala system, prior to this World Cup, one of the rules of it was you're not allowed to change employers without permission. Now, if someone said to me, Mo, give me the definition of slavery in one sentence, I would say, you're not free to quit. You can't just say, I don't want to do this anymore. So for me, that system was so linked, so close to slavery, in that you could have your passport removed and you have to get your employer's permission to change employer or to quit. That's ludicrous that still exists in this day and age. And thankfully now that has stopped. But the fact that system existed and migrants died meant that I was never going to go to Qatar, because I felt that strongly about it. I did not want to set foot in any stadium where migrants had died building it. Now, the thing that made me laugh was that people claim to be talking about quite serious issues like the LGBTQ plus issue. But then I thought to myself, is this truly because you have a real strong sense of feeling about that issue? Or is this just a sense of cultural imperialism that Europeans or Westerners have, that our culture is more advanced than yours, that it's better than yours, and you should be more like us? Yeah. I didn't think that when it was about LGBTQ+, because I know the strength of feeling in this country about those rights. It does matter to people. Clearly not enough, because we saw the actions, but it does matter. But when I realized it's just about cultural imperialism, was when people started getting upset with Qatar about the fact that they can't drink at stadiums. And I thought to myself, that's clearly now an issue of respect. It's not a human right to drink alcohol at stadiums. Yeah. And you should have been more respectful of your hosts to say, okay, fine, we understand that that's not your culture, so we're just going to have to accept that. Now, the first that what kicked off there, I just thought to myself, there is no respect. The fact that you didn't follow up on actions in terms of the LGBTQ thing, and the fact that you did that with the alcohol thing, is just about cultural imperialism. And another sign of that is that this is the first time, or after this, we can say this is the last time Qatar held the World Cup was in 2022. Homosexuality was banned. That same sentence is true of England. The last time England hosted the World Cup, homosexuality was illegal. But it seems to me that it's only the Western sort of timeline that is acceptable. There's no space for other countries adapting, improving, changing, etc. at their own pace. It's a case of when we decide something is immoral, when we decide something is moral in the Western world, that's when everyone has to jump on board. And actually, I think this could have been done in a lot more of a collaborative way, where we could have not got their back up as much and sort of shown them a different culture, and showed them, maybe open the doors of Qataris to the world and how other people like to do things, rather than a sense of cultural imperialism. The most laughable example of all of this with the LGBTQ thing, though, I have to say, was you can't wear a rainbow armband. So England captain Harry Kane, who didn't wear the armband because he didn't want to suffer a yellow card, wore a £500,000 watch to show his support. It was a rainbow Rolex. And they're going, current market value, about £500,000. And I thought to myself, just shows how flipping far removed you are from the actual struggle, from the true struggle of it all. And that's how you choose to try and convey your support and show your support. It really made me laugh. You won't wear the armband, you wear a £500,000 watch. And I think that tells you everything you need to know in terms of how much people really care, how far removed they are, and just how much the Western hypocrisy stunk the place out.
Can I just add to that very quickly, Shaheen, though? Yeah. I have to say this, though, right? There's also been examples of British fans out there and other fans out there who have gone out, seen the culture, are really taken to the culture, and have been really positive about Qatar and the way they've been treated and how it's all gone out there. I mean, women have said they'd be really safe out there because there has been no alcohol. There's other guys that have taken to it as well and said they've been treated immensely well. So we've got to be honest here and say, it's not, it might just not be individuals that have an issue. And maybe this is a narrative used by media and television more than anything else. Because from what I've seen from a lot of fans out there, they've been really positive about their experience.
And also, I just want to say one thing as well, just to clear up one misconception. Yeah. If you're gay and you go to Qatar, nothing is going to happen to you. If you're gay and you go to Qatar and you walk out to a policeman and you say, "You're right, mate, I'm gay," nothing is going to happen to you. Trust me, they're not going to give a crap. If you go to Qatar and you're gay or you're straight and you engage in sexual practices in public, something's going to happen to you, irrespective. There seems to be this thing that they think they've got like a sensor that tells you if you're gay or not, and they're going to go and like put you in prison. No, that's not the case. There are people that live in Qatar that are gay, and they just don't do things in public. But that's also true of people that aren't gay. Cisgender straight couples, for example, that will be in Qatar and they won't kiss in public. They won't do things in public because that's just not their culture. So it's actually a lot more about culture, a lot less this fear that was stoked up, a lot less about actual sexual preference.
Very quickly, just want to say for the record on what you said about the alcohol stuff, Mo, I am completely on board with you, like 100%. Because again, to lay out this line, it's for me, and I hope you don't think I am that imperialism line and all of that. Because drinking alcohol is a choice, you choose, and if the culture is in another country that is banned and it's something you control, fair enough. I have no problem with that at all, and I would respect that. If eating meat in another country was banned, hypothetically speaking, if I went there, I would not eat meat. Because it's purely for me, and I just wanted it on the record that it is about something that someone cannot control that I have a problem with. That's my issue.
Anyone got any little things you want to get in before I start? No? All right. No, it's very interesting that the points that everybody has raised. And I think it's something for people to listen and understand that, as I said at the beginning of the show, that you go into a different part of the world. When you go there, it's a different culture. It's not necessarily what is acceptable to you is not over there. What's acceptable over there is not over here. And you need to be able to adjust if you want to go to different countries. Otherwise, stick to traveling in Europe because you're going to be cool here. And I didn't want to mention names, but Mo, since you mentioned Alex Scott, I think wearing the armband, I know, Tom, you said you got a lot of respect for her for wearing it. But I don't particularly think that was the best thing that she could have done in order to raise awareness for this, because you've gone there, you wear it one time on their country to just stick it out there, look, I'm wearing it. You could have just said, you know what, like Mo said, I'm not going to go over there because I don't agree with what they're saying. But you go there, you collect the paycheck and everything, and I would have liked to see that all of these people who's saying, all the BBC commentators, ITV, who said about the migrant workers, who said about the LGBTQ rights, that at least they would have donated half of their paycheck to those families of the ones who lost lives in Qatar, in the stadiums. But no, we just say it one time and we just say it and that's it. Moving on from this, Tom, how cool was that stadium that was put together and was taken off?
See, I can't even have these conversations. Migrants died in these stadiums, and
in terms of the technology, I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I just don't care for it.
Yeah, I do agree with Mo. Like, it's just
wasn't worth losing a life.
All right, well, we'll move on from that. How about the England team? We can talk about the England team, right?
Yeah, we can talk about the England team. Like the stadium, they've been dismantled as well by France.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a bit harsh.
Yeah, no, it is harsh. Absolutely, it is. Yeah,
what is harsh?
They didn't get dismantled.
We can talk about the football. Let's talk about the football.
I think in most of the game, England held their own and probably were better in a lot of that game. I just think.
Do you know what? I was
poor refereeing decisions
with Tom. Do you think Gareth Southgate should stay on?
No, I don't. No, I think England would have won the Euros with a better coach. I think they would have got to the final of the 2018 World Cup with a better coach, and I think we would have probably progressed further in this tournament with a better coach. So, yeah, I think we should move on. I've read a number of people who disagree, that think that Southgate, and you look at what he's done, and how can you be this critical of a guy that's got us this far? And I'm like, because I look at what the resources available to him, the team he has available to him, and I think we've underachieved based upon what we have and what we've had over the past 5 years. I think that this is a team that should have gone further in those 5 years. So yeah, I think absolutely it should.
What was you expecting minimum this tournament?
A semi-final. I was kind of it. That was my expectation to reach. I think England's team, the players, are in the top 4 nations in the world. Yeah.
But Tom, it's a bit unlucky, right? It's kind of luck of the draw. You know, if England had played Morocco, like France got Morocco in the next round. If England had played Morocco and then they played France in the semis and lost to France in exactly the same circumstances, would you have said, yeah, Southgate can stay on?
No, because I look at the France team, and I think England's team is better. I think England have a better team than France. So the available players in that game, I think France had a lot of players that weren't available for this tournament. And if you look at the teams man for man, you know, I wouldn't have swapped England's team for France's team, but I would have swapped England's manager for France's manager. You know, and that's the way I look at it. So I just think that we should have, like, England were better than Italy, you know, when we went out to them. You know, we were better than Croatia when we went out to them, you know. And I think we were better, actually, with the performance was better than France's as well. And I think England were the better side. But they went out. And, you know, I'm not a huge England fan, as I've told Shaheen. You know, I'm not like, you know, this really on it with England. I'm just trying to look at it from an objective footballing position rather than with a biased England scarf on or whatever. You know, I just think that there should be more being got from these guys.
I think Southgate should stay on, and that might be a bit of a controversial opinion, and I'm not exactly an England fan, but...
That's why you want him to stay on.
No, I'm not doing it in an ironic way. I actually think that, you know, when you look at his record, it is a good record. Tournament football is very, very tough. It really is. We've seen Brazil fall down the wayside. Argentina, with all of their players at their disposal over the years, haven't really done anything. We've seen Spain drop off, Germany drop off. Football is just... You know, tournament football is really tough. And I especially look at Euro 2020. And, you know, I have the belief that, yeah, generally England beat the teams they should beat and then don't manage to get over the lines over the teams that are at the same level or slightly better than them. But Euro 2020, we beat Croatia. I say we. England beat Croatia and Germany. I mean, that's not bad. They're two fairly okay teams. Croatia, you can't, you know, really turn your nose up at that victory given what they've done in recent tournaments in recent years. I just think, is Gareth Southgate a bit harshly treated? If he was, I don't know, if that was Pep Guardiola that came in with the same record, or Jurgen Klopp came in with the same record and they had that sort of fashionable nature to them, would people be viewing it with a different lens? I'm not sure that he's not being a bit hard done.
A quick question to all of you here. If he, let's say he was to step down tomorrow, who would you want to have him on his place?
Arsene Wenger.
Nah, man, Arsene Wenger is not going
to. Yes, I would want him. Like, look, let me tell you.
Arsene Wenger is
why?
I don't think you're going to see Arsene Wenger in a footballing job.
But you didn't say to me, like, oh, it has to be somebody that's like you think is going to take it. You asked me.
Realistically.
Well, why isn't it realistic?
I don't know, man. I just think Arsene Wenger is too old now for football management. He's got a cushy job in FIFA. Why? I don't know, Tom. Who would you want to have as England manager?
It's a good question, because I was asked this question after I would have got rid of him after Russia, and I would have brought in Eddie Howe. And I think that you're seeing what Eddie Howe can do with quality players now at Newcastle. You know, I think he was very restricted with what he had at Bournemouth, and I think that you're seeing now what he's capable with a better team. And so at that point, I would have taken Eddie Howe as England manager and seen him really kind of maximise the potential of the players available to him. But now it is a tougher question. I'm not sure I would take Arsene Wenger, Lev. You know, that's a shout. You know, he's been out of management a while. He's never managed at the international level.
He knows the Premier League. He knows the players.
He does. But he has been out of the game for a while. And
Arsene Wenger won that job, though. That's you got to look at it like that.
He's turned that job down before.
Yeah, how about Tuchel?
Yeah, Tuchel's an interesting one because he's a young coach. You know, he's worked with Premier League players.
I think Thomas Tuchel would want a club job.
But yeah,
what about with France?
Did you say so? Do I, Tom?
I think he wants a club job. Yeah,
with France.
I mean, you agree on something.
No. Sorry, Mo.
With France, it seems like Zidane is the long-term successor to Deschamps. What about Zidane for England?
And why would he come
I think he'll take the France job. when Deschamps leaves.
Let's say
Wasn't
France
there a language barrier when he was linked with Chelsea?
I didn't hear that personally.
No,
Or read that.
Let's just say France win the World Cup and therefore Deschamps stays on, potentially. Would you take Zidane?
Yeah, I would, yeah. But the thing is, look, an English manager has never won the Premier League. You know, there is a real lack of top level management quality in England, you know. And it's something English managers haven't won the Premier League. You know, it's never happened. Eddie Howe, I think, is the best English coach in the game right now. You know, there isn't a lot. You've got Graham Potter at Chelsea. It's not going particularly well for him there. He did a great job at Brighton, but I think that was kind of working with those players. I think he did a great job, but I'm not sure he's attuned to that level yet. Maybe he will be with time, but yeah, England's not producing a raft of amazingly top level coaches at the moment. France produces, you know, plenty. So,
fair enough.
Can I throw a question in as well then? Which club?
Can you follow up your question by reading a super chat?
Yeah, okay. All right. I'll ask the question very quickly. Just to throw it in there as well while we're at it. Who would take on Southgate as a club manager? That's what I'd like to know. Would anyone in the Premier League take Southgate on as a club manager? I highly doubt it. And moving swiftly on whilst I've just asked that question, Wayne Sage, thank you so much for your support. You're here again, bro. Good to see you. It's been a little while. Big up, everyone. He says, where have you been? Watching the World Cup. I don't think we can separate politics from sport. I think we should. It's always been that way. Since Jesse Owens showed up, Hitler at the Berlin Olympics, and Tommy Smith and John Carlos at Mexico City Olympics. You're right there, Wayne. 100% you're right. It is something that's always been used. You know, sport is one of those things. They take something that people love and they weaponize it. So you're right in that instance.
Who now would turn back and say they shouldn't have done that? That has stood the test of time. That's an iconic, powerful moment. So, you know, I think it shows that it can be used well. Can I ask you guys a question? A yes or no?
Hold on. Let's answer Lev's questions first.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think a top team will take Gareth Southgate on. I think Gareth Southgate is a very good tournament manager. He would subsequently be a very a cup manager, you know, with decent cup run. I think maybe a mid-table team or just a team that is just promoted to the Premier League will probably look to take him on. But I don't think sometimes Gareth Southgate doesn't get the credit that he deserves.
I think he's very lucky that he's had this squad. I think a better manager would have got more out of this squad.
Possibly. Mo, you want to ask a question?
Yeah, just a yes or no, and then go into it afterwards. Should Harry Kane have taken that second penalty?
Yes.
Was he right to take it?
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
In hindsight, no.
No, not hindsight.
Well, yeah. Why shouldn't he? He's probably the penalty taker.
That was the question. So I've got two yeses. Lev, what do you say?
I would have said yes at the time. But then he's a Spurs bottler, so there you go.
Yeah.
No, the question, like, you got to ask yourself, one of the things that stands out with Harry Kane very quickly, I'll just say, everyone keeps saying he's world class, but on the big stage, he has failed at every time. He's got no trophies to his name, and he's had chances to win things for his teams and his international team as well. And he's flopped on those big games. So there you go.
We've discussed World Cup and all the dramas around the World Cup for about 38 minutes. So let's talk about our beloved Arsenal now. I'm going to have to start with Tom. There's a couple of things that have come out of this World Cup. One, in relation to Ben White, and as to why he left the England squad. At the beginning, there was a statement out that, you know, it's for personal family reasons, you know, we'd give him time, respect, which sounded something that was family related, serious. And then you got stories coming out saying, actually, he didn't get on with the players. You know, he didn't turn up to training with what he was supposed to do. He didn't really show that great of interest. I don't know where these stories come from. I don't know. I'm asking you because obviously you're involved in the media side of things a lot more than the three of us, admittedly. So is it true? Is it not true? What the reasons was?
I don't know. Is this the short
fair
answer?
enough. If you don't know, you don't know.
I don't know. When they posted that he'd left the camp and said that it was for personal reasons, in my mind, I'm going, okay, cool. Like,
I thought maybe a family passing away.
Yeah,
something
potentially.
Like that.
We don't know. It could be something family related. It could be something different. We don't know. If it's impossible to even speculate about what it might be. When that report came out to suggest that he had a falling out with Holland, I think it was, in the England setup.
Who put it out, by the way?
The Sun,
off the top of my head, I don't think it was a Sun. I can't think of it was a top. Maybe someone in the chat box will be able to tell us. I can't remember off the top of my head. But in Gareth Southgate's press conference, he was asked about it, and he said that, by responding to it, I give that story any legitimacy, which is basically him saying it's a load of BS. What frustrates Daily Star apparently is who it was that put out the story. It just frustrates me that there is an incessant need to know from people. He's back training now. He's in Dubai. He's training with the group. He'll probably play tomorrow. In the team. And I know that there is a worry from some fans about, we're in a title charge. We want to know that one of our best players that we've had this season is going to be available. I get that. I understand that. But if you're told that he's been pulled out of the England team, which is, up where one of the biggest honours you can have is playing for your country, most players would say that. If he's been pulled out of that and he's not returning because of something that's described as personal to him, you just have to respect that. You just have to respect that. And to go digging, when it happened, I had so many people. Some people have come back and now apologise for doing it, but I had so many people DM me like, "Do you know what's going on with Ben White? Like, why is he been?" It's like just respect the fact that he's been pulled out and it's for personal reasons, and he'll be back when we're told he's back. It's a shame that there was so much kind of incision and really kind of people trying to dig for things. It was a shame. I think the way it was handled by some people.
Shaheen, very quickly on that. I think it's total BS what these guys have come out with in the Daily Star and whatever. Because could you imagine Arsenal coming out and wishing Ben White all the best, and he's saying our thoughts are with you, etc. If it was simply that he fell out with his coach and didn't get on with the staff or the team, that don't make any sense at all, does it?
But if that was the case, that's what you would expect from them to do, no?
Really?
No, what Arsenal did doesn't
make them to go with the story.
Any way you look at it, what Arsenal did doesn't make sense. Either something bad has happened and you want to respect his privacy and not kind of like boost curiosity, in which case someone at the club should reach out to him privately, not on a social media account with 10 million plus followers. That don't make any sense to me. Or if he has fallen out, as you say, they wouldn't have done that. So I don't know why the hell Arsenal did that in the first place. This is meant to be respecting his privacy, not putting a post on there for people to speculate under.
Well, for the purpose of the conversation, as Tom said, we'll respect the statement and we'll park it there. The other matter is a small injury to Gabriel Jesus, something we all feared that might happen. It's far from ideal. It's not great at all. I think it from what I've seen, it looks like a 2-3 month injury. But then again, I don't know why same people are having a fit, because those same people wanted Nketiah to be given a contract and he was good enough then. So there should be no panic right now, Lev, should be.
I love the way you come to me with this one. Look, anyone who's been watching and knows me, and you guys as well, we've had two major concerns with our squad depth, haven't we? We've said striker is an issue for us because we don't 100%, we can't 100% rely on Eddie to take us through to a title challenge. And we also worried about Thomas Partey. Lo and behold, typical Arsenal, one of those happened during the World Cup. He only played one game, didn't he? Or something like that, Jesus, and boom, he's injured.
Games, I think he played.
And judging by an interview with Tomiyasu, who didn't know at the time, he actually asked a question, is it his knee? So this is obviously something historically that he's had a problem with, his knee. Thanks, Albert. How you doing, bro? Smash the likes, he says. Yes, bro. It's a concern for me. I'm not popular with people when I say, for me personally, I wouldn't put my neck on the block and say Eddie can carry us through. I just don't think he can. I've not seen anything from him to suggest he has the same capabilities as someone like Jesus, even though Jesus hasn't been scoring of late. What he does for the team in general, and the tone he sets from the beginning up top and the pace he sets with his closing down, and he just never gives defenders a moment's rest, and he's always involved, even if he's not scoring, with assists and the build-up play as well. I think he's a huge loss. Personally, I would like Arsenal to go out and do something about it, but we're going to do anything in January? No. So the next best option for me, potentially, we're being linked with someone like Mudryk. Get Mudryk in, so bolster the attacking line, and maybe I would prefer giving Martinelli a chance in that central position, because I think he would set that tone in regards to closing people down and pressing more so than Eddie does. But, that's just my opinion.
Just before I go on to Moh and ask you about this just came to my mind. I'm going to ask you guys a yes or no question. And that's a yes or no. And I'm looking at you, Moh Haidar, yeah? Yes or no. Are we confident with Eddie Nketiah leading the line? Tom?
It's just such a broad question, man.
The yes or no, Tom, just answer it.
Am I confident in this team? Yeah. In the starting team? Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Moh?
Are you doing that on purpose, Lev?
No, I just nearly choked on my tea. Sorry,
Moh?
I hate you for making me answer yes or no, which doesn't give me any opportunity.
I'll give you a chance to explain more. Just for now, yes or no?
No.
No. I think me and Lev is quite clear. That is a no. So it's 3 no's and a yes. Why, Moh? Go on, explain, elaborate.
I don't like answering like yes or no questions when I'm answering negatively, because I like to give context. As when I'm talking badly about an Arsenal player, the team that I love, and therefore the players that I love, I like to give some context around it. And, because people will watch it, and I don't want this to be like a Eddie bashing session. I mean, I just don't think you can be confident, because he's never even had, has he ever even started 5 games consecutively in his career for Arsenal? How can we be confident in something we've never ever seen? So, first time someone saw, before anyone had seen an aeroplane fly, it doesn't matter. You can say all the theory you want and why it might work or not. Until you see it with your own eyes, it's hard to actually be confident. So, no, I'm not. But I like Eddie Nketiah, and I know he's got so much more to offer, so much more talent than what he's shown in this Arsenal team. I've watched him for years in the academy and, in the first team. And honestly, I think he will succeed in his career somewhere. And I really want it to be Arsenal. I hope this is his big break. This is his chance, and he takes it. But you asked me if I'm confident. You didn't ask me, do I think he's got what it takes to perform? Yes, I do think he's got what it takes to perform, but it's hard to be confident.
Yeah, I asked the confidence, and that's what I was looking for. Just yes or no answer. But
look, Shaheen, just to add to that, right? Just like Xhaka of late, right? I'd love Eddie Nketiah to prove me wrong, right? I'd love it, but personally, I mean, I understand what Mo's saying. We've not seen it. It's an unknown quantity. It is a risk. And do you want to risk your title run right now? Is another question.
This is a key one, Lev. This is a key one. I don't think we are in a place where we can afford to say, do you know what? We give Eddie a chance now, because that could cost you the title.
And what if it doesn't work out? What if you try for 4 or 5 games and it doesn't work out?
Look,
and you haven't
been given a chance before, right? And it hasn't been something that you can see the difference between Eddie Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus, and that's quite clear in terms of quality of where they both are. But I just think Arsenal are not in a place right now where they can risk not addressing this problem. I never had any confidence in Eddie Nketiah. I never thought he was good enough. I still don't think he is good enough. The only thing I agree with Moh is I hope he can make a career for himself somewhere, because I don't think in Arsenal it would really happen for him. Last season, around about this time, actually, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, we went out for when was it? Was it end of season? We went out for a meal.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was the end of the season.
I don't remember it. It's a blur.
He's erased it from his bank account.
No, I remember. Point being is, I had a conversation with Moh, and I said, "Do you think Arsenal will sign somebody in January?" And we made a little clip on it, and Moh was adamant that we will. And
maybe it was. Maybe it was Christmas time. Was it?
I think it was Christmas.
No, it can't have been because we were doing a predictions league.
I don't think it was January. I think it was. You said you think we'll sign.
No, it was the summer. It was the summer window.
In the summer, yeah. It was towards the end of the season. There were still games to play, I think.
But
I don't remember.
I now want to discuss this with you guys. Forget that. Are we going to sign someone in? Because it's evident we need signings. At least, I think the main concern is now up front. Lev, you pointed to this earlier on your point that you were making, that you don't think we're going to sign anybody.
No, I don't. It's not that I don't think we're going to sign anything. I think prior to the Jesus injury, they had a plan, and I think that plan was to bolster clearly someone more attacking on from a wide perspective. Someone like a Mudryk, who I do like the look of, by the way. I know joao Felix is in there as well, but personally, I like the look of Mudryk a lot. I think he'll give us something different. But now that the Jesus injuries come along, then we're all sitting there going, oh, well, we should be signing a striker. The problem we're going to have in January is what team is going to release their striker in a January window, firstly, that's going to be any good.
No. Listen, Lev, that does not apply anymore because we are about to win a title. This is about bullying now. We go somewhere, we bully. Let's say
Juventus got Vlahovic,
but we're also desperate, Mo, and people know that. So it's going to add money to.
I'm more desperate to win a league, so that desperation is just where we are right now.
All right, so who would you go for?
Let's say one player that impressed me in the World Cup, for example, is Fulkrug for Germany.
Man's ringtone, Go on, Lev.
It was a classic.
Yeah. Sorry, Mo, carry on.
Nicholas Fulkrug. I thought he came on for Germany, not a team that were especially good, and I thought he did quite well. He's got 10 goals in 14 league appearances this season for Werder Bremen, and I think to myself, do you know what? That's potentially someone we can bully and say, we want him, we'll get him. And that could be a decent option.
I'll tell you why.
You'll be stuck with someone average later on.
I'll tell you what the argument against Fulkrug is he's 29 years of age. He's got 3 years left on his contract. Werder Bremen have no need to sell him, and so he's going to cost you big. And then you've invested big money in a player that you've got no sell-on value for, and then who's taking up a spot in the squad you then could buy better than in the summer. Yeah. That's the problem.
And Tom, let me give you the reasons why it could happen. If Fulkrug finds out Arsenal, Champions League bound Arsenal, have made an approach for him, that he could go to the best league in the world, get loads of money, potentially win a league, and be a hero because we're signing him to make us win a league and play in the Champions League next season. And this is his biggest chance of getting that contract and getting to the big time, becoming a household name at the latter part of his career off of the back of a good World Cup. Do you think he's going to be willing to stay at Werder?
I agree with you. I wasn't saying why it won't happen. I was saying why it shouldn't happen. Why we shouldn't go and sign Fulkrug.
I'd have to agree with Tom on that.
I kind of feel we need like a Van Persie kind of signing when Man United signed him.
He's a bit old now, Shane.
Sorry?
He's a bit old now. He's retired.
What I mean is that type of signing where he went to Man United and Man United won the league because of him. He started to bang in goals. And I think we need somebody of that ilk.
Shaheen, what about Mehdi Taremi?
Actually, he didn't do too bad.
I said to you guys before the World Cup that I would have liked us to sign him in January because he would offer a good alternative to Jesus. But I think he's a free transfer I don't see Arsenal going for him. I think he's 31 now as well.
What's happening with
he's
Tony?
One hell of a finisher, man.
Is Tony facing a ban? Is Ivan Tony?
We don't know. The investigation's still
for
going
me,
on.
if he wasn't, someone like Ivan Tony, for me, makes sense.
Yeah, listen. I would love to see Mehdi Taremi at Arsenal because obviously he's my fellow countryman and we're from the similar sort of region of Iran. So I would love to see him at Arsenal. He's a really good finisher. You saw he scored 2 goals against England, and one of them he had no right to score. So, but I just don't think they'll go for him. How do you guys feel about I've seen talks. I mean, look, we've got Tom here, who does daily shows at 8 o'clock in the morning, everyone, by the way, if you want to get updated. I've seen reports, Tom, of, again, pretty much everybody being linked with Arsenal. Vlahovic is coming up again.
Yeah.
Joao Felix. Joao Felix is going to cost a fair few bobs. He's not in good terms with Simeone.
Yeah.
So that might be a good thing for us if we're going to go for him. But I think he's going to cost around 50, 60 million pounds.
Yeah, if you're lucky. If you're lucky. Yeah.
You know, you got Vlahovic that hasn't really worked at Juventus. I'm not sure if that's such a great idea for us to go back on him. But Tom, what's been happening? Who are we likely to find? Because you're in the know.
You know, David Ornstein did a really good piece for The Athletic this morning. I don't know if anyone had the chance to read it, but he outlined a lot of stuff about what's happening at the moment with a few. Mudryk seems to be the key one. Look, I think, Lev, what you said earlier on, you know, Arsenal had a plan before Jesus got injured. They wanted a midfielder and they wanted a wide player. I still think that is the plan. You know, I still think that is the case. I still think they want those two positions covered because in midfield, we need to sign someone that gives us more competitive quality to Xhaka and Partey. We have to do that, you know, because El Neni and Lokonga, despite, you know, I like El Neni, I think he's a decent backup, but we need competitive quality to win the league in midfield because we've got a Europa League campaign that's going to restart in March. We've got FA Cup games, which I want to, you know, to an extent take seriously and progress through that because, you know, we've got the quality. We need to make sure that we add. In midfield, I think I'd just accelerate the Tielemans situation. I would just bring that forward. I would just get him in. You know, he's Premier League proven. He's going to come in and make an immediate impact. Anyone else you really sign from elsewhere outside of England is going to take some time, most likely, to transition. So why not go and get the guy that's played in the Premier League for the majority of his 20s and get him done? I know he's not Partey, and I know he doesn't play deep, you know, but he is a competitive midfielder to bring in. The reality is I don't think there is a Partey competitor in January that we can get. I just don't think it's there. It might be in the summer, but I don't think it's there in January. So I bring the Tielemans ones forward. The forward line.
That leads us nicely to Wilfried Zaha, who everything you just
What's
said...
it with you and old players?
Everything you just said about Tielemans applies to Zaha.
He's 25.
He's a short-term fix, though, and I like Zaha.
In terms of, he's played his football in the Premier League, he's Premier League proven, quality player. So for that forward solution, hasn't got long left on his contract.
What, you bring him as a striker, Mo?
Yeah. That's what he's doing for Palace this season, doing brilliantly. Palace don't make millions of chances in a game. He has been clinical, finding corners with the one or two chances he gets in games.
The only problem we have with the striker
thing, Zaha is a bit too old for Arsenal to go for it.
Let's put it this way. If you told me that in January, Arsenal are going to get a midfielder and we're going to sign, say, Mudryk, yeah? If you said that on top of that we can get Zaha, I'd be like, okay, you know, I'll do it, you know, because we've got the young guy that's coming in to compete in the wide areas. Zaha is a bonus, and it's a 2-year contract, say, or 18-month contract. I'll do that. But if it's a choice between Mudryk or Zaha, I'm picking Mudryk because the problem with the Zaha situation is because for me, it's people, I think, overlook the spots in squads argument because you have a 25-man squad and you have spots for each of the different areas of your squad, defence, midfield and forward line. As soon as you fill a spot with a player that, like Zaha, say, who might even turn down 18 months. He might want, you know, 2.5 years or 3.5 years or whatever. I know there's the argument, Mo, you said earlier about, you know, you're offering potentially to win a title where you'd accept whatever length of contract. Maybe. Who knows? 18 months with an option of another year, maybe. But as soon as you fill a spot in a squad, that's filled, you know. And in the summer, when it comes around to next season, and we've got the plan to continue on this road to dominance, which we want to achieve, if we've filled a spot in the squad with a player that is theoretically only going to start going downwards, you know, just because the way that's how footballers kind of work. I know that footballers are going later into the 30s at the moment, but especially the style of Zaha, who's all about explosive pace, you know, that type of player tends to start to decline into their 30s more so than potentially others.
Aubameyang being an example.
I think that's a great example. I think that it's just about that spot. So, but if you said to me that we'd get that Mudryk profile and Zaha's coming in as a bonus, I'm with you, you know, because I think to go for a title, maybe it depends on the price as well. But that would sell it.
Yeah, the thing that you've got to see as well, Mo, is if you look at the past 2 seasons and how this transfer plan is at Arsenal, all the players that they've come in are young players who've got sell-on value, who can come in and then they're young, then they can be nurtured. And I think that's the way that they want to go. So I think Zaha, as good as a player he is, I don't think he fits in that blueprint. But I can see where you're coming from.
Sheen, can I add something to that as well? Sorry, Mo, do you want to do that?
To win a league, you can make an exception. To win a league. When was the last time we won a league? For crying out loud, I'm desperate. So
listen,
desperate.
Listen. Oddly enough, I'm in agreement with Tom on this one again. That if we're gonna get someone like Mudryk with Zaha, great. Mudryk with like Mehdi Taremi, good. Zaha, Mudryk with somebody, good. But if it was just one, then probably. Yeah. Mo, sorry, Lev, you want to say something?
Yeah, the problem we have is it's more so. Forget you mentioned the young players with sell-on value. I don't think they're looking to sell on any of these young players. They want them to mature and grow. I think that's Arteta's plan. It's difficult to compete with some of these bigger clubs that have got these rich owners willing to spend boundless amounts of money. So the only way you can do it is find young players just before they blossom and then have that team. And that's what they've done with Arsenal. The problem you have is if you're going to get a striker, he's got to have somebody with the energy levels to press like Jesus does. And the one thing Zaha probably won't give you is that pressing up top to the levels of Jesus. And that's why I think Arsenal got two options here. They either sacrifice that central midfield purchase till the summer and buy another striker and a wide player, or they decide to stick with their plan, move Martinelli into the middle, get Mudryk out wide, and buy another midfielder. That's their options, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Looking at it the way I'm not sure Arsenal are going to go out and buy a striker. I'm not convinced. I genuinely believe that Martinelli can do that number 9 role. I really do.
What do you think they will do there?
Whether or not he can hold it up. I just think this is what the hold-up is with Arteta right now. He's deciding, do we go with this midfield purchase and a wide guy, or now that Jesus is injured, do we go with a wide guy and a forward? I think that's what the issues are right now. I personally don't see them getting a striker in.
Mo, what do you think?
Specifically, what do I think about
the transfer?
What do you think they'll do?
What do I think they'll do?
January, what do you think will happen? What business do you think they'll get done?
Okay, so it's not about what they should do. What do I think they will do?
Yeah.
God, I think they will get someone. I just think that, you have to look at what we could potentially achieve here. Remember, the second last game before the World Cup started, we got that 5-point gap, and we opened up that daylight to Man City. I think that really changed how people were looking at Arsenal's season, and I feel like it upped the ante. It really did. I feel like we have to go for it. And Mikel Arteta could be looking at this thinking, you look at how Liverpool have dropped off this season, for example, how Chelsea have dropped off this season. The league, there's not a monopoly on it how they used to be, Man City excluded. There are the top 4 has now expanded to the top 6. You could never really count anyone out. It'd be hard for us all right now to sit here and say Chelsea won't be at it next season, Liverpool won't be at it next season. This could be Arteta's best ever chance of winning a league at Arsenal. I feel like we have to go for it, and I think they will.
Tom?
I think they'll attack it. Yeah. I think that the ownership understand that it's a chance, or Josh more so, than Stan. But I think that, the people higher up know that this is an opportunity, and I think they're going to try and bring, I think 2, at least 2 in January, which they need to. We've said it all season, that Arsenal have to use the opportunity of the January window. And it's not just about bringing in, this is why I've kind of gone off the Danilo thing as well. I know it was reported today that, that interest is apparently not there anymore. But the thing is with a player like Danilo, and I was just talking about in the chat box, if we were to play Man City tomorrow and Partey's injured and I have a choice between starting Mohamed El Neni or that 21-year-old Danilo, I'm starting Mohamed El Neni. Because of the experience, because we know what we're going to get from him. You can't chuck in a 21-year-old that's got no experience from Brazil to play in a really big game like that. And we've used El Neni in big games, away at Chelsea, away at Manchester United and won. So
we've got a good example.
January, we need... Sorry, go on.
We've got a good example of what you just said, that you can't throw a kid in there with
If you're going to say Nketiah, you know he's 23.
No.
He's not a kid anymore.
Lokonga.
Yeah.
You know,
he's not a
he
6.
came with all...
You know, he's not a 6. He's an 8. You know, he's not Partey's competitor. He's Xhaka's competitor. That's his position. I don't think he has a future at Arsenal, to be honest. I don't think that he will work out at Arsenal. And I think that the Tielemans deal, if or when that happens, probably ends Lokonga's chances of a future at Arsenal. Because Tielemans will become Xhaka's competitor and maybe the long-term replacement for him, and maybe they'll go for someone else to replace, you know, Tielemans in however many years' time. Patino, of course, is coming through, and he's still got to specialise between 6 and 8. Partey, there's 2 players that come to mind. Someone in the chat box has mentioned one of them is Seko Fofana at Lens, but he's just signed a brand new contract, so I'm not sure if that would be feasible. And the other one is Ibrahim Sangara at PSV, is the other name that comes to mind. And I don't think they're going to be feasible in January because both teams were
tall guy? Is that tall, big guy in...
Played for PSV against us. Good player.
He's good at watching play. He's
guys,
decent.
I would much rather focus on the immediate need where we know there is that need up front, and therefore go for a Zaha in January. And then honestly, in the summer, I'm talking about Milinkovic, Savic, or Bellingham. And there's no reason why we can't go toe-to-toe with other clubs. Absolutely no reason why we can't go toe-to-toe.
Wages.
How much do you think Bellingham would cost, and how much do you think he wants?
It's not the price tag, Shaheen. It's that Man City are going to go, here's 300 grand a week, and Arsenal are going to go, well, we can't give him 80 grand more a week than Jesus. He's 19 years of age.
Bellingham's more of a favourite for Liverpool, I've been hearing.
Yeah, he is. And again, they'll pay him 250 or higher a week, you know.
The wages, fine. But in terms of, when I said it's no reason why we can't, is transfer fee. We can go.
Transfer fee, I agree with you. We should be competing for those players. But if Man City or Liverpool or even United come in and offer wages that are just well beyond our realms, we can't at the moment.
Yeah. I just want to ask you guys my last yes or no question. Right. And it's not, the question is, do you think Arsenal can win the title or not? But do you think Arsenal will win the title?
No, sorry.
Well, we're just waiting for Lev then.
It depends. It's like what we do in a window. But right now, I mean, I always said at the beginning, no. So I'll be surprised if we do. So no, right now.
Fair enough. We've been going about an hour and 10 minutes. This show's normally an hour. It was very nice to obviously catch up with you guys and talk about different point of views with regards to the World Cup, with regards to football, and it's always nice doing these shows on Mondays. So hopefully next week we can catch up again with you guys, and World Cup would have been done by then, and it will be just full on Arsenal news, and hopefully there will be some positive news in terms of Gabriel Jesus' injury and recovery time as well. Last thoughts, Tom?
Much appreciate having me, as always. Looking forward to Arsenal getting back to action. I'll actually be covering the game minute by minute tomorrow as they play Milan, and hopefully we'll be at the game on Saturday when they play Juventus. Fingers crossed.
You're going to Dubai?
No, we're playing at the Emirates.
Oh, are we? Okay.
Juventus, we're playing at the Emirates on Saturday. Yeah. Kaya's in Dubai at the moment, my colleague, watching the games. So he's having a nice time out there. Although he said to me today that he's missing home because it's snowing here, and it's the complete opposite, obviously, out there. So, I hope he gets back all right with the planes.
What are you doing wrong at work that he gets to go to Dubai? And
he's the chief Arsenal, right? He's the number one, and I'm like, I'm new to this, so I know my place.
He's got to earn his flights. He has to earn them.
Right. I'm just fortunate enough to go to games and sit in the press box and go in the mix zone and things like that. So I appreciate the little wins at the moment.
Mate, you're doing well, mate.
I appreciate you having me on as always, boys. And
we hope that one day you'll be a chief Arsenal writer.
Maybe one day, who knows?
I'm sure you will be. I'm sure you will be one day. Mr. Haidar, final thoughts?
Final thoughts from me, which include a question, one-word answer. For me, final thoughts: come on, Morocco, and if not Morocco, come on, Messi. And my question, one word: who's winning the World Cup?
France. We already said that, no?
That's
at the beginning of the show. I said France.
Sorry,
I've always said France.
All said France?
I started with France as my prediction. I'm sticking with it.
France. Likewise, 4 Frances, but come on, Morocco or Messi, in that order.
Right.
Yeah, no. I'd like Morocco to do well. I can't stand the Argentinian team. So there you go.
Lev, final thoughts?
final thoughts. Pleasure to be back with you guys. Pleasure to see a lot of the people in the chat. Thank you for joining us. It's nice to know that you haven't forgotten us, even though we've been away for a little bit. Keep an eye on things to come up. Put your notifications on. There'll be more shows coming up, I'm sure, as we're getting geared up to the season starting. And I hope Arsenal really do go out there and address the situation at hand at the moment in the transfer window, because I really do want us to win the title. Even though I said no, I do want us to do it. There you go. So thank you again.
Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Hopefully next week, Monday, we'll catch up again with some wonderful Arsenal transfer news and improvement on Jesus' injury. But until then, look after yourself.